Tell me what it was like for you, I guess. Kind of start from the beginning. Where did you find the promotion for MPN Esports as we launched this new team?
It's hard finding the right people to join a team with. So I saw it on two avenues, right? I saw it on Facebook on the iRacing community. I don't know if it was you or Jeremy. Someone posted on there. So I thought about it, and then one of my buddies in another Discord that I'm in, MPN Demigod Shad, which you actually interviewed 2 episodes ago or last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he actually him and I have a mutual friend, and we're cool.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's crazy. When I was in Florida, that's how him and I met.
I never knew
Um,
that.
yeah, exactly right. Small world, small world.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Mercy Lens episodic series, episode 7. We're moving right along, and I'm so excited because today we have a very special guest coming on to the show. We have Carlos, who is one of our MPN Esports iRacing drivers, and he's been around pretty much from the inception of this team, and I really wanted to bring him on because up to this point, I feel like this iRacing team that we have has accomplished so much in a short amount of time that they've been affiliated here with the MPN organization. And I've personally gotten to race an entire series with Carlos. I've been a down in the trenches, a teammate with the guy. I really enjoyed it in the team that we have over there. We ended up winning a team championship, so we'll talk a little bit about that throughout the episode and really just what it's like because I feel like I guess a lot of these episodes and the people that we bring on are all a part of our gaming community, and it's about first person shooter type games and stuff like that. But iRacing is a full blown simulation. You literally climb into the cockpit of a race car and you feel what it's like to be behind the wheel of one of those things, what it's like out on the track. Everything is laser scanned by iRacing, so it's very realistic, and we'll break it down a little bit throughout today's episode. But let's kick it over. Welcome, Carlos, man. How's it going?
Hey, what's going on, dude? I'm doing awesome. I'm ready to do this.
Hey, yeah, I am too. I know that you reached out to me and you're like, I got to be on an episode here because you really dig this series and you wanted to be a part of it. So thanks for reaching out, man. I'm glad we could make it work. After a couple of weeks, I think, of trying to get lined up on similar
Yeah.
schedules, but hey, we're here. We're doing this. So again, welcome. Let's start it off, man. How did it all start? Tell us kind of what made you get into gaming. Has it always been racing games, or where did you kind of start at growing up and starting to experience what it was like out there in the gaming world?
So my name is Carlos Ramos. I'm actually in the Navy. I'm a naval officer, surface warfare officer. But pretty much that means I'm stationed on ships. We call ourselves ship drivers. So I was first stationed on USS Stout in Norfolk, Virginia. Then I went to USS Milwaukee in Jacksonville, Florida, and now I'm actually teaching at the Naval Academy. And my students love the fact that I'm a streamer, so they're always tuning in, which is kind of funny. But I I think just growing up, I've always loved games, so this is a perfect opportunity for me to get into the gaming world. I'm super happy that my wife supports me for the most part. No, I'm just kidding. My wife supports me, and I have a 1-year-old daughter who's about to turn 2. So they're pretty awesome. They let me game for a couple hours every now and then, and let me stream and all that good stuff. I think I started, where most of everybody else around my age probably started on the Sega, whether that's Dreamcast, Genesis, whatever you started. I pretty much started playing like Sonic, games like that. I think towards middle school, that's when the Call of Duty Battlefield really started heating up, that little battle between those two. And I started playing more Battlefield Bad Company 2, or really Bad Company than Bad Company 2. I logged insane amount of hours on there, like more hours than I probably should have compared to school, work, and all that good stuff. But I think that's how it really started. The oldest racing game that I think I can imagine or that I can remember playing was NASCAR Heat 2003, and that was ages ago. And compared to iRacing, the physics were way off, the graphics
Yeah.
completely different. But I think that was probably the first major racing game that I started playing. Gran Turismo when I was on the PlayStation side for a while. Then when I went to Xbox, the Forza series and all that good stuff. And I pretty much played all those straight up nonstop until about a year ago when I really started playing iRacing. But it did start off with first person shooters. That's what really got me into it with my buddies and all that good stuff. And then I slowly started getting more into racing, and that's where I'm at now.
Yeah, with the new Battlefield game,
Yeah,
it just got delayed for a month, it looks like. But
yeah.
any plans for you to jump on that at all and see if you still got it over there?
I would probably get annihilated because I have not played a Battlefield in, oh boy, I think I downloaded Battlefield 5, never played it, probably once or twice. So I can only imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I played that game a couple of times as well, but I've been eagerly waiting the new Battlefield to see what it's all about and see what they've been
Yeah.
working on for the last several years. So you mentioned you started out kind of like on a NASCAR game. I assume most people that have played racing type video games have played a NASCAR game somewhere along the line. So can you explain to them what's different between logging on to even like what is it, NASCAR Heat 4? Is that like the title series that's kind of going on right
Yeah.
now? So what's the
Yeah.
difference between a game like that where you're playing on a controller probably or maybe a keyboard as opposed to what you guys are doing on iRacing?
Yeah. So NASCAR Heat is it's close, but it's you have a lot of grip, a lot of more control over your car in NASCAR Heat. iRacing, it's as soon as you start the race, and you have cold tires and it's cold or hot on the track. There's no grip. You're flying all over the place. Um, and also NASCAR Heat, I think, focuses more on the pack racing, even on non-pack racing tracks. And iRacing, it's only as good as you are as a driver. So if you're terrible as a driver, you're going to be terrible on the track. You're going to be in the back nonstop. Whereas if you're on Heat, it'll adjust the AI to where you need to be and all that good stuff. There's no AI on iRacing. The AI is the other players online, and I think that's what makes it drastically different. And I think Heat'll give you a good idea of what you need to do, but iRacing, it's definitely going to show you the ropes on that.
Yeah, and I know that iRacing, as detailed oriented as it is, it's made vast improvements over the last several years. I know
Yeah.
just for the time that I've been on there. So kind of break that down too, because I feel like a lot of people may not understand that you're literally every driver you're competing against is a real person. There are no computer players in
Uh,
iRacing unless you're doing maybe a test session, which
yeah.
not a lot of people really break down and do after you've been racing for some time. So I guess kind of if you can explain the difference, like you have official races that happen throughout, the days, one every hour or whatever, depending on which class you're racing on, and also like the league races that you are involved in and that you represent MPN on. Can you kind of break that down as far as like there's kind of skill-based matchmaking, which is a term
Yeah.
that we use a lot in gaming communities or in the gaming industry in general at this point. But you kind of have that skill-based matchmaking in iRacing when you're racing those official races, right?
Yep, exactly. And I think something I could compare it to is the last Call of Duty game I really played was Modern Warfare 2. And depending on how good you are in that, your matchmaking will put you with someone similar in your game of whatever, whether it's team deathmatch or anything like that. Here it's based on two different things: how safe you can drive and how well you finish. So your safety rating is what gets you in different classes. So you can drive faster cars that you might want to, do leagues in and all that stuff. And then you have your I rating, which is how well you finish. And then when you get into a race, you're assigned a car number. You'll never have your own car number or anything like that. And this isn't an official race. So you'll have your car number. Let's say your car number 25. That means you're the 25th highest I rating in that race. So if there's 26 cars. You're pretty much at the bottom of the totem pole. Now, if you finish, let's say third, you will gain 120 I rating, which is like a lot. That'll take you leaps and bounds. And so, as long as you don't have any what we call incident points, like running into someone else, going off track, hitting the wall, things like that, your safety rating will also increase. And that's based off of a really long formula that I watched a 15-minute video on to really understand it. But so those two things are what really place you in your races. And then from there, it's something called splits. So then you have like your official races, you'll have 5 splits. Those splits are based on iRating if there's a lot of people joining those races at the same time. So if your iRating is, let's say, 1500, you will be averaged around there. So your lowest might be 900 and your highest might be 2100. And that's your split. And that your strength of field is based off of the iRating that people have in that specific race. But then you can have the top split where you have dudes have like 8500 iRating, and your lowest could be poor guy, but he could be 1600 iRating. He's gonna be struggling because he's just not at the level that those guys are at. So in that aspect, it is extremely similar to what the other MPN guys play with their matchmaking. Now, when you have league races, that is not based on anything. It's just a group of dudes or girls out there racing each other once a week, same day, just like in the actual NASCAR series that you see, IndyCar, whatever you might watch. That's all it is. It's point based, team based sometimes as well, and it's it's very just straight to the point. Your race finish, your I rating, your safety ratings aren't affected in that case. It's just how well you are as a driver, and it's just your ego being affected, I guess.
Yeah, I when I was racing with you guys there, when we first launched the iRacing team, I think it was on Thursday nights we were racing,
Yeah.
and I kind of told my girlfriend, it's like the way I explained it to her, it's like a dart league or like a bowling league or like a slow pitch softball league. It's just like,
Yep.
instead of going out and hanging out with the guys at the bowling alley or wherever at the softball field, I'm just climbing into my racing sim rig here and
Yep.
spending an hour or two with the guys there and racing with them. And that's kind of what the league races are all about. It's once a week. You get together, you run your race, and then the league admins keep points, right, of all of the drivers. And in this league, specifically that we were running in, they kept a team standings as well. So they took
Hmm.
your drivers that were on your team, took their average placings week to week, and then gave you points based on that. And that's how we ended up winning the team championship. Was
Yep.
overall we had the strongest team throughout that entire league, and that was super cool because it was our first league that we participated in. And we ended up winning the championship, and then we did a lot of like interviews and stuff with them on their
Hmm.
broadcasts, and they were always interested to hear, what our future plans were as a team, how long we've been together and stuff like that. And they couldn't believe that we had just formed and then just
Yeah.
joined that league and raced like that and did that well. Because when you kind of do what we did, which was like a tryout session, we
Hmm.
took some of the better drivers that we really liked out of that group, put them onto a team, and then told them, all right, let's go race together.
Yep.
And it was like, you guys have been teammates or friends for years, the way that it
Yeah.
all kicked off. And it was cool for me because I got to be a part of it right away and race with you guys week to week and understood the chemistry that goes into being a team out on the racetrack. Because not only then are you racing for yourself, you're racing to put your teammates in the best position
Yep.
possible as well. It's more than just you out there. You have an entire team. And we have Chris Watkins on the team as well. That dude paints
Oh my
uh,
God, it's insane.
some
His paints
awesome
that he drops, wild.
some of the best out there on the track, and he
Wow.
gets so many compliments on him. And he does all these special event paint schemes and stuff like that, to where we represent MPN on all of our cars. Right, we throw the
Hmm.
logo on there, and the schemes, they don't match identically, but they all look similar to each other. Kind of
Yeah.
have that same concept to keep that uniform, if you will, of drivers out there that are representing our esports organization. Obviously, you being a part of that. So I guess let's just start before we get too far. We'll kind of now transition it into what it was like joining MPN Esports, because, like I said, this was all completely new when we launched the iRacing program into MPN. It was something that I used to run a team on R Factor several years ago, like 7, 8 years ago, somewhere around
Mhm.
there. And then I just kind of went MIA. I just quit racing and didn't stay heavily involved in it. Um, But then we make a comeback and we say, you know what? We miss this environment, this feel of, watching our team compete, watching our name out there on the racetrack and doing all of that stuff. So I wanted to bring it back. I brought back Jeremy, who's had, different sorts of things come up. He just had a baby not too long
Yeah.
ago. So now he's being a dad, and he can't race as often as he'd like and stuff like that. But tell me what it was like for you, I guess. Kind of start from the beginning. Where did you find the promotion for MPN Esports as we launched this new team, and then kind of transition it into maybe the tryouts, what it was like when you first joined, all the way up to leading to that first championship that we won? Kind of take us through all of that time in order if you can remember. I know I have terrible memory, but just what was it like for you as a teammate, as a person, as a driver looking for a team? What was all of that like for you throughout that entire period?
Yeah, so I know ever since I've been on iRacing, I've wanted to be on a team, uh, but it's hard finding the right people to join a team with. So I saw it on two avenues, right? I saw it on Facebook on the iRacing community. I don't know if it was you or Jeremy. Someone posted on there, so I thought about it, and then one of my buddies in another Discord that I'm in, MPN Demigod Shad, which you actually interviewed 2 episodes ago or last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he actually him and I have a mutual friend, and we're cool.
Oh wow.
And yeah, it's crazy. When I was in Florida, that's how him and I met.
I never knew
Um,
that.
yeah, exactly right. Small world, small world. So he sent it to me through Discord. And he's like, "Hey, you might be interested." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, I just saw it today." Probably like 5 minutes before he sent it to me. I was like, I'll give it a shot. So that's when I sent it to you guys, and that's when we had our first like meeting and all that good stuff. Then we had the tryout race, which is at Bristol, which is interesting. There's only a few of us, so that's probably good track for a few of us. But I can't remember if it was John that just blasted me away, and I couldn't believe how slow I was. But it was funny because the whole time we're racing competitively, but we're also just talking about what MPN is, how we go about being the team that we're going to be, and
Yeah.
all that good stuff. So we ran like I think 50 laps at Bristol, which goes by ridiculously fast because I think the cautions were turned off too. So that
Yep.
was fun. Everybody's spinning out and all that good stuff. But yeah, so then from there, I think you guys have found Midwest Days of Thunder, and that's the league that we were running and still running in the ARCA series, and it's team based, which is perfect for us. Um, so and you already probably know what I'm going to talk about in our first recruitment race. So we were driving around. It was a caution, and we were talking about pitch strategies, and all I remember is the car in front of me going to dive down into the pits. Now, for the non NASCAR guys out there, what a pit fake out is someone dives down to make everyone else think that they're going to the pits and to take tires and fuel and all that, and then they'll come right back up, and then you'll get suckered into going into it. Well, I got half suckered into it. I went down, and as soon as I realized he wasn't going in, I turned the wheel and I spin out in front of the whole
The whole
bunch of
field.
cars. Yeah, and it's funny because it's broadcasted. So like this is going out on Twitch streams and Facebook streams everywhere. This random car just spun out for no reason when everyone's going 20 miles an hour. So I'll never forget that. And the guys still give me crap for it. It's it's so funny.
I'll
But
I'll
I
never
got
forget it because I was like I was kind of doing the same thing. I was like two or three cars behind you. I'm like, oh my god, that guy spun out, and it ended up being you.
yeah, I do remember that. You're like, who was it? Who was that guy that spun out? And I was like, yeah, that was me. Oh man. And then yeah, from there we started our first couple races, and I, and it's crazy because we never won a race until Chris joined, but we were always number one because we had really good, consistent finishes, strong finishes. And it's weird because I always qualified well, and then I get wrecked or something crazy happened in the last couple laps, and then you and John will qualify, a little bit further back, but then out of nowhere we make these charges at the end where you'd get like second or third place, and John would get top five as well, and I think that definitely helped. And then when Chris came in the first race he joined, he won, and we were like, dude, there's no way you're a dirt racer. That's
Yeah.
crazy. And yeah, and then all my my little technical issues with my VR headset, crapping out in the middle of races and stuff like that. But even then, we always just had good finishes, and that's what really did it. We never the guy that won the most races, his teammates were terrible, so he finished I think like third in the team standings, and in that league, the team standings are more important than the individual standings, and I think we understood that, and that was more important. But yeah, some of the big races I think that we had was like when we went to Texas, when we were at North Wilkesboro, Phoenix, Pocono. I think Pocono was one of my favorite ones because I'll never forget. I'm just driving, going on doing my thing, and there goes Ryan Ayers, number 4, just flying by. It's like, what the heck, man? Nice and quiet, and I think we all got like top 10 in that one. So I think that was probably our best race as a team. And then it was in the middle of my military move, so it was interesting doing all that. And yeah, but that first series, I can't believe we won the championship. But it was just, I don't think it was hard for us because we just did what we had to do. We didn't do anything crazy or exceptional. We just raced hard and finished well.
Yeah, the team just started out just clicking well from
Yeah.
start to finish. I mean, we all get along amazing, and now you guys are still involved in
Mhm.
that league and running different events and stuff like that. And it's just great communication from day in and day out. Like you guys are just in the Discord server. You're talking about upcoming events and races that you guys are going to be participating in. You're talking strategy the entire time and also just having fun too, right?
Yeah.
That's what a lot of it's all about is just being able to enjoy the people that you're spending time with. Because you guys race every single week. This is time away from family and friends outside of MPN, and you guys utilize it to the utmost. The best way possible. You guys are always productive. You guys are supportive of each other and like I said, at the end of the day, it's about having fun. And I think you guys are definitely doing that. And that's what brought us success so early on is like from day one, right? Like you're spinning out and stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God, who the hell is that guy? And it ends up being you. Then we're just laughing about it afterwards, like
Yeah.
it's always been a really fun time. And the people that are a part of it are just really fun people to be around. So, next, I want to kind of transition into you mentioned it already, and it was something that I wanted to work into this episode a little bit because I think, again, like you and I talked about before we started recording this, a lot of the listeners or the viewers that are going to watch this are MPN community members that are used to like, first person shooter type topics and iRacing being something completely different. We don't know what they're going to think, right? But the one thing I think that I know a lot of people will have interest in is the VR aspect of it. We
Yeah.
have a lot of people that play with VR. Whether I don't even know all of the brands anymore. It's went way over my head. I have an Oculus somewhere that I haven't set up since I moved. But tell us a little bit about what iRacing is like with that on, because I used to race with it on. I don't anymore for a variety of different reasons. The main one is I couldn't figure out how to be able to drink like mid race and without like
Yeah.
spilling it all over the place and stuff like that. So for those of you that don't know, I guess the VR headset, it completely covers your eyes, so that way you're able. I mean, it's virtual reality, and you guys watching and listening, if if you are doing that, you're gonna have interest in VR and know what it's about at least. So you'll understand. You really can't see anything. It goes pitch black.
Yeah.
You can only see what's being broadcasted to you from the game that you're playing. But tell us what it's like with iRacing in VR compared to what it is when you're playing on a single monitor or a triple monitor. I know you can play on as well. Did you start out with one of those two options? And then what made you want to try the VR? What do you like about it?
I started off with a 42-inch monitor. I didn't know anything about field of view, and if you guys, field of view is just how far you are from kind of the front of the car and how wide you can see around you. So I'm like, if you can imagine driving in your back seat of your car, that's how I started off with because I didn't know anything at the time, right? And so I started figuring out the field of view thing, and it got a little bit better, but it still wasn't perfect. Um, so a lot of guys run single monitor because that's just this is the cheapest way to go if that's all you need to do. Then you have triple monitor, which is 3 monitors around you, and it kind of feels like spatially it feels like you're sitting in a car. and you can see the windows around you, and in front of you, and all that good stuff. And you can see buttons and stuff on the steering wheels and all that. And then virtual reality, you're literally sitting in the car, and it's hard to explain. But it when I'm driving and I'm going 180 miles an hour on the sim, and I'm about to hit a wall, my body will tense up because it looks like I'm about to hit a wall, and it's crazy. Or another example, when I was running the Retro 500 2 weeks ago, um, the sun was setting, and it's right in my eyes when it's setting. So you can't duck out of the way like you can a car or pull the visor down. I just have to deal with it while I'm going on that part of the track. So I think it's super unique with VR. And another thing with iRacing is you have to do a lot of settings and mid race things with your mouse. So if you can't see your mouse, you can't make the adjustments you need to make uh, as timely. Now, what I used to do, so you can kind of see my rig behind me right here. So I face, a little awkward to the computer. So I'm like
Yeah.
feeling for the mouse to make these adjustments because I can't see anything other than, like you said, iRacing inside of my helmet or inside my headset. But no, it just adds a completely different immersion. Like it's insane how real it feels, looks, sounds. Because when you have the surround sound going in, if I turn my head to the right, I can hear a car that's a little bit further behind, rather than right beside me, or I can actually hear my tires scraping on the ground, which they shouldn't be doing, depending on the track that I'm running. So it's so much more realistic, and it gives you a better feel of what the car is doing.
Yeah, that was one of the main things that I loved about it was when I raced with the VR, I liked you could like look down and you could see your shift lever, right? You can
Yeah.
see all that stuff. If you turned your head to the right, you could see out your passenger window rather than
Hmm.
like on a steering wheel on a single monitor, you have to like, press a button to and it
Yeah.
just there's no like head movement. It's just either you're looking straight or you're looking straight right.
And
You don't get that whole like, motion like you do with a VR.
another crazy thing is now in the latest update for iRacing, the single monitor and triple monitor guys aren't going to see this, but the VR guys will. Um, and some of the cars, you can actually see the feet move on the pedals. So when you look down and you press the gas pedal, you'll see the foot go down. So
Oh wow.
yeah, you can't do that on the single and triple monitors, but the VR guys, if you look down, you can see it. So it's like I said, it's immersion. It's the best way to do it.
Yeah, and I'll throw the link down in the video description here and in the podcast description. But if you guys are interested in learning what the VR is like inside one of those cars, make sure to check out Carlos's stream because you stream on Twitch pretty regularly, pretty much
Yeah.
any major race at least that you do, if not even when you're practicing and stuff like
Hmm.
that. And go check it out because it is a lot of fun. I know that
Yeah.
when you guys are racing in events, I'll watch one either you or John streams quite a bit too, and I'll watch at least one of your streams and see what you guys are up to and how you're doing. And I really like watching yours because you get that full experience of what it's like if you were sitting in that car, and it definitely makes me want to try out the VR again. But yeah,
Yeah.
I struggled too much with the I did a real Daytona 500
Oh.
in a race one time. I don't even remember why Jeremy talked me into it. And man, I struggled. I drank like 3 bottles of water throughout that entire thing, and it was like 4 hours long, I want to say, or something
Oh
like
yeah.
that. And I struggled with that. I struggled with finding my mouse, and then I got a super bad migraine afterwards
Oh.
because I didn't race enough to get used to that whole change because it's like getting motion sickness if you're not
It
used to
is.
it.
A
And
lot of guys on the Facebook page will complain that they get motion sickness, and then they're selling their VR.
yeah,
That's
it's
exactly what it is.
you gotta just kind of bits and pieces. Start out
Mhm.
with shorter races, maybe just practice laps, and then work your way into
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And that goes for any game with VR. You really should because I remember I set up my VR right before I moved out of my last house to play a battle royale shooter on the VR
Oh wow.
system, and I played one game and I was like sweating, because I hadn't played it in quite a while, and it was just crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
you're there,
Yeah, that's crazy.
it is, yeah, it's the technology format of it is so cool. And people can watch your stream and see what it's like and see what the simulator is like too. What iRacing is really like is when you're in a VR headset is what it's like if you're actually in a car. It's very similar in different ways, and I enjoy more as a probably as a viewer than as an actual racer with a VR headset on, because I race now
Yeah.
with a monitor. But the VR stuff was so fun. It just I don't do it enough, and I couldn't get acquainted with it. But when I did, it was really really cool. All right,
Yeah.
we're gonna kick it over to a short break. Say hi to some of the sponsors for today's episode, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. We want to give a special shout out to the sponsor of today's episode, Merciless Threads, coming on board, a new sponsor here for this episode. And as many of you probably already know, MPN offers a bunch of different prestiges or tiers that we have for our members to be able to contribute to the community and make everything that we have possible. And part of the benefits in some of those packages include a free MPN branded t-shirt. Merciless Threads handles all of the labor behind the scenes that makes all of that possible, starting with the designing, the printing, and then the shipping to all of our members to enjoy that are subscribed to those tiers. They've been a big part in making all of that possible, coming on board and really stepping up their game to handle all of everything that we need as far as t-shirts goes. I'm actually wearing their latest VIP only issued t-shirt. We sent it out to a bunch of different supporters around the community that have been helping us out for the last 6 months or so. And again, it's been a fun process to get to work with them on a community level, and now we get to work with them on a podcast level. So it's been just a true experience, a blessing, and we're really excited to continue to work with them. So Merciless Threads, make sure to go follow them on Twitter and on Instagram to stay updated on all of the products that they're releasing as they continue to start up their business and expand into a bunch of different things. We'll see. Don't count anything out yet, but t-shirts obviously being the main one for now. So check out their work. Merciless Thread on Twitter and Merciless Threads on Instagram. All right. Again, thank you for this episode sponsor. Appreciate all the support here. We are episode 7 in the Mercy Lens episodic series, and I have Carlos with me here, and we've been talking a ton about iRacing and just racing in general. Shared some funny stories and kind of how he got involved in all of this and the different aspects of iRacing that a lot of people hopefully maybe you didn't know and you're getting to learn today. And that's what this series is all about, is just learning about people, learning about their lives, and also what they do that makes our organization, our community so unique here in MPN. So Carlos, tell me, let's pick up right where we kind of left off with the team aspect of the iRacing team. And are there any skills or traits maybe that you've learned since joining MPN Esports from maybe John or Chris or Jeremy or whoever, just being a part of this organization? Anything that you've been able to pick up, and hone in any sort of specific skills or traits?
Yeah. So I think two specific ones, and that's dirt racing and sort of how to take the corners in some of the cars. And so for the dirt racing aspect, on our iRacing team, we have a dirt and an asphalt because there's multiple different ways to race on iRacing. When we were racing in the Midwest Days of Thunder, we had the All Star race that was on dirt. I had never raced on dirt before, so I just reached out to the dirt guys and I was like, "Hey, I need some pointers," and the guys helped me out tremendously. Um, and from there, I think I finished like top 15, which I am 100% okay with, coming from a non-dirt background. So that's one. The second is like I mentioned earlier, I raced the Retro 500, and all that was a 500-mile race at Darlington, which is 367 laps, so it's a marathon. Um, in the old 1987 NASCARs, and so those cars are real particular on how you want to enter the turns. So something you have to do is, and it sounds weird to the normal driver, but something you have to do is when you go into the turn, you don't let off the gas all the way, but you'll push the brake down. So you have both pedals down and you're just like balancing them out to not let the back end of the car wash out, and you don't want to slow down too fast and lose time. So I think that has helped me tremendously, even in the updated cars, for how to take a turn and just how to make the lap as fast as you can. So I think those two aspects, like, huge, that I got from the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember Chris, who I've known for many many years. He kind of dips into both dirt and
Hmm.
asphalt. And I remember when iRacing released their whole dirt side of their program, and man, it was such a change going from asphalt to dirt. Like, it was so different, and it's
I bet.
probably more different now than what it was back then. Back then, it kind of felt like their car builds were like asphalt based cars
Mm,
that were just like driving on dirt, so to
yeah.
say. But now every car has a different feel to it because
Hmm.
it's come a long way over the last few years. But I definitely know what it's like to try to race from asphalt to dirt. It's not easy. I mean, you just
No,
don't get
not
to
at all.
jump in and turn quick time right off the rip. I mean, it's a whole different realm of racing, and like I said, I got to experience firsthand, and luckily we do have drivers on our teams that have competed in both and do very well in both, and it's cool that they're able to share their knowledge to people like you that want to try the other side of
Yeah.
iRacing, and now you get that firsthand experience from them on pointers and everything like that to kind of help kickstart your side of dirt racing. So that's really cool to hear about, and know that we have that going on here in MPN means a lot. Um, so let's look ahead now, where you guys conquered the M Dot series as a team championship already under your belt. And you guys, I believe, are racing in M Dot still. We went from the Arca series, which was kind of like their beginner level tier,
Hmm.
up to their Xfinity series. Um, what are some future goals now that you have with the team here on the asphalt side of MPN's esports program? What do you guys want to achieve in the future? What do you want to achieve in the future?
Yeah, so MDOT actually just released that they're going to be doing a uh truck series as well. And so we could run both series simultaneously. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do Xfinity and truck, but that doesn't start till I think January, after the season we're in right now ends. So as a team, I think that's definitely our next stepping point, cuz I can tell you right now, me and John are beasts on the trucks, so they better watch out. And our best friends in the racing series, I'm not going to say the names, but those guys better watch out. But me personally, actually, with John, I was talking about running the 24 hours of Daytona. And for the non racers out there, it's literally 24 hours. You get a team of like 3 or 4 guys. You share your workload. You go to sleep, but then you race up. You get up and start racing as soon as your guy comes in for the pit stop, and you got to hop in the car and do your 3 or 4 hours straight, hop out, and all that good stuff. It sounds like a grind because it is. Like, it's
Yeah.
pretty wild. But that's why you have 4 drivers. So I think doing the 24 hours of Daytona, iRacing always does special events, like they'll do actual Daytona 500s with payouts, depending on who you can find for that. So I think something like that going into there. And then much further down the line, probably 24 hours of Spa. I almost got a chance to do it a couple months ago, but I missed it. But I think that would be super exciting as well, because I love the road series as well, and I know we're trying to develop that in the future as a team. But it's just super unique when you talk about a marathon. You think about running 26 miles. You could try driving for 24 hours, and it's your butt starts hurting, your arms are hurting for a
Yeah.
simulator. It's funny.
I've had buddies that I've met through iRacing that competed in it and have streamed it and stuff like that. And I remember like watching the stream, and then I'd go to bed, I'd wake up and turn the stream on, and it'd be still
Yep.
going. It's crazy to know that he wasn't necessarily the guy racing the entire time, but they had a nice stream setup going, and it's like that race is still going on as I'm sleeping.
Yep.
People are out there doing their thing, and it would be super cool. I just don't trust myself enough as a driver to be able to like hold my own for the team's sake for that
Yeah.
long,
Right.
but it is a really cool experience to watch. And like I said, you go to sleep, you wake up, you turn it on, it's
Hmm.
still going. So, um, One thing that we didn't get to talk about that I really want to hit on before we wrap up this episode is we kind of hit on it right at the beginning where everything is laser scanned in iRacing. And
Yeah.
when COVID started, NASCAR really relied on iRacing to still be able to have competition with the drivers. And a lot of NASCAR drivers have stemmed from iRacing. For example, William Byron,
Yep.
I think it was him, came from
Yeah.
iRacing, but wasn't he the one? He was Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s spotter on iRacing at one point, and then like ended up getting a ride and an
Yep.
opportunity. And obviously, it takes more than just knowing a guy to get into NASCAR. I mean, you got to have the
Yeah.
skill behind it as well, and I think he's done more than prove that now. But seeing all of that, I mean, have you paid attention, I guess, when NASCAR has competed? They've done different races with their drivers. I mean, these are professional drivers. I mean, the names that you've probably heard and are used to hearing all around the NASCAR racing series. Like, do you pay attention? Do you follow that? What's that like for you, knowing that you compete at a pretty high level? These drivers are out there actually competing in the real cars, but also on the simulation as well, and they thoroughly enjoy it. Dale Earnhardt Jr., I know, for example, is a huge advocate for
Yeah.
iRacing. I mean, he goes on his podcast and he talks about it all the time. He's got a full-blown car, in his shop that he races in, and also shout out to one of my local drivers, Ty Majeski, is from right here, like 45 minutes from me in Wisconsin, and he races in the Xfinity Series from time to time now.
Oh wow. Yeah.
He took a picture and posted it on Facebook one time, literally just like a desk with the steering wheel mounted to the desk, and
Do
and
it. That's all it takes.
he plays on a gaming laptop, and that's what he has for. So he's like
Oh my
looking down
god.
at the monitor, and he wins races like that. That's how skilled these
Yeah.
drivers are, But they really enjoy how realistic the simulator is compared to just hooking up the PS4 and playing it with a
Hmm.
controller. They get the full blown experience as well. So what's that like again for you to be able to watch that content? Do you do that, and if so, what are your thoughts when you get to?
So what's funny is I don't know if you remember, but for the M. recruitment race that we did that I spun out of, at the beginning, we had some actual truck guys that entered in. It was Sheldon Creed, Brett Moffitt, and somebody else. We were actually racing against NASCAR drivers. They dropped out because there were some terrible drivers at that time, but and they didn't want to have to deal with that. And I don't blame them. But say we were racing against professional drivers, and I think that's awesome. And then in my one of my other leagues, my other truck league, we were hosting a practice at Texas where the truck league happened to actually be racing that weekend too. And Grant Enfinger hopped in our session, and we're like, that's another professional truck driver, and I beat his time. But so yeah, it happens more than you think. Like sometimes you'll see Dale Jr. pop up on the board, and you're like, "There's no way that's the actual Dale Jr." And you can't have duplicate names, and so it's like that is the actual Dale Earnhardt Jr. And
Yep.
so yeah, I follow it from time to time, especially when iRacing puts on the big events. Um, you'll see some of the big names in there that'll just hop in. For example, like I said, when I did the Retro 500 2 weeks ago, they had I think 5 or 6 eNASCAR Coca-Cola series, which are pretty much the professional sim racers. They were in there, so I was running against those guys. Of course, they blew me out of the water, but the fact that I was able to qualify to get into that race and race against those guys is insane. I think it's a aspect that I don't know if a lot of other games go into because it's hard to find a professional COD player because of the matchmaking and all that, unless you're in a private tournament or something like that. Um, to be able to have that experience, you're just not going to see it. I think.
Yeah, I know too, like what you said, to go back to the duplicate names thing, there's a dirt modified driver with the same
That's
name
right.
as me. So when I go into lobbies, people always think I'm him. Now, little do they know I'm not even close. But iRacing actually reached out to me shortly after I made my account, and I had to like verify my identity because they don't
Oh
like. I mean, you
wow.
can't just go in and say your name is Dale Earnhardt Jr. and
Yeah,
they're
that's
just gonna
true.
let that fly. You know what I mean? Like, so I had to
Yeah.
actually, I think I took a picture of my driver's license or something and just showed them like, I am who I say I am.
Yeah, because I know my name on there is Carlos Ramos 6. there are 6 other people that play the simulator with the same name that I have. It's funny.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm number 2. So, yeah, it's just really cool. I know I've raced against Kevin Swindell, who is a famous dirt track
Hmm.
driver as well. And at that point in time, he had just been going through some stuff to where he was basically paralyzed. He couldn't move
Oof.
from his waist down, and he was using the simulator as a way to get used to the wheel
Hmm.
with throttle control. Because if you're paralyzed, you obviously from the waist down, you can't use your legs for the gas and the brake.
Yeah.
So what they do is they implement a system where you like push in the steering wheel either to accelerate or for brake, and you pull
Oh
on
wow.
it for either the accelerator or brake. So you're just using your hands the entire time. And he was using the simulator as a way to get used to that before he stepped back into a real car. You know what I mean? And
Pretty
he
cool.
raced with us for several weeks in our league that we were running in, and was super cool to. He was one of the few, I guess, that you could talk to because he was in the league and he raced with
Yeah.
us weekly, and he knew he was comfortable sharing that at that point. Some of these drivers, though, you get into these match or not matches, I guess, but races with them, and they don't always talk, but it's cool to know that they're there,
Hmm.
and I think that they just don't talk because then you just get bombarded with a ton of questions
Yeah,
and
exactly.
stuff like that probably. But yeah, it's super cool to know that you get to race against those people, and that's part of that progression system, right? That I
Hmm.
rating and stuff that we talked about already. That you explain how all that works. Once you get so far up there, I mean, your chances of racing with real life professional drivers, starts to really become more of a common thing. And at that point, you're just not even thinking about it. And you're
Yeah.
exactly right. The odds of you getting into a professional Call of Duty match are very, 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 very slim. But the odds of you getting into an iRacing race with some professional drivers can be common if you're good enough. And that's something really cool and unique about the simulator that I think, as a fan of the sport, like, I just yeah, I get beside myself at an opportunity to get to do that because it's like ultimate fanboy session for me, knowing that these are people that I can watch on TV and race against on a Thursday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
And
really
I
cool.
something else I forgot to mention too. We're talking about the lasering of tracks and stuff like that. So like iRacing really takes cars out there and will essentially copy and paste physically what the track is. How many marbles are on it. When I say marbles, I mean like the tire pieces, dirt, dust, how much dust will get on the track. They're actually taking these essentially photocopies they're putting in the game, whereas NASCAR Heat or some of these other games, that's all code, but they're actually taking physical pictures and things like that of the tracks. So like you'll see at the temporary circuits that get put up all around the world, uh, after the race, there goes the little iRacing car scanning the track, and I think that's a pretty cool aspect too because you're actually racing on the actual track that someone like my favorite driver, Kyle Busch, won at or something like that. And I think that's one of those things because it just adds to the realism, especially in VR. When I look to the left and I can see all the marbles and all the dirt actually on the track, it's just one of those realism things that's awesome.
Yeah, it's something that until you get to experience it, you truly don't understand how much goes into that because you're used to these games. Like you said it perfectly. It's coded.
Yeah,
It's close, but it's not the real thing.
yeah,
iRacing is literally the realest thing you can get into stepping into a NASCAR without stepping into a NASCAR. You know what I
yeah.
mean? This is something that you guys can do out on the track, and really anybody can sign up and do. I feel like I should be cutting a promo for them at this point and get some money out of this. But no, I wanted to come on here and talk about it because I feel like as an esports team that we have, and we have you guys on our Asphalt side who have been tremendously successful in a short amount of time, and then we have our dirt team that's still being built up, and they're getting acquainted with each other and getting ready to race in some pretty big races here soon. But I'd love to see more support from our community side, and I just feel like um, until people get to experience it, you don't know, if you like it or not. So I definitely encourage anybody watching and listening, if you haven't given iRacing a look at it, make sure to do so and check out Carlos's stream here. Get on Twitch and look up iRacing. There's people that are racing all the time on there, and they have, iRacing has their own Facebook page, Twitter page, and all
Mhm.
that website. the whole work. So I'm all right. I'm done with the selling point. Let's wrap this up, man. So last question: if you could build your own dream event, any race, any track, any car,
Hmm.
whatever, if you could be a promoter for a day and MPN hosted this race for people all around the world, what would you say would be like your dream race of what you would choose to set up as for track and car and all that good stuff?
See, since I love road courses, uh, I think the ultimate would be like running the NASCAR trucks at like a Formula One track. Mainly because that'll bring in the Formula One drivers, the NASCAR drivers, whatever, and try to put them on the same level playing field, which it won't be because the NASCAR is so different. But I think something like that, it's different and it's unique, and it'll level the playing fields from the guys with ridiculously different I ratings. It'll put them somewhere in the middle because they might not be used to that track, where I might be used to the track, but the car might be a little a little touchy, and those guys will be used to the car but not the track. So I think it'll like equal it out some. But that's just something I think that would be awesome to do.
What would you say is like your average time frame for how long you like to race for? Like is it an hour, 2 hours?
So
What's
I would
kind of your favorite range?
Yeah, so I would say with my old seat, like 30 minutes. I think I got uncomfortable real quick, but now I can do a lot longer. Uh, but usually I think an hour and a half to 2 hours is usually really what most races on iRacers run. So that's more what I'm used to. I think that'd be perfect. Not too long, not too short.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on to today's episode. It was a lot of fun, and like I said, this fits perfectly with this whole series that we're doing with the Mercy Lens. It's a way for people to watch and learn about not only members of our organization, but learn about things like iRacing, things that I feel like not a lot of people know about, but can certainly enjoy. The content that people put out there is just so much fun. Probably in some aspects, I feel like somebody tuning into your stream would probably have more fun than tuning into a NASCAR race for the first time
Yeah.
because they get to interact with you one on one. They're not,
Mhm.
getting a full blown overview of the entire sport all at once.
Yeah.
And they can ask questions as they have them. And if they don't, then they can at least watch and enjoy, everything that you're doing out there on the track. So, again, one last time, everybody, if you guys have some time, you want to learn more about iRacing, you want to learn more about MPN's involvement in iRacing and what we're doing out there with our teams, check out Carlos's stream. Make sure to jump into our esports Discord server where you can talk to Carlos one on one in the iRacing general channel and stuff like that. I mean, we're so interactive and easy to get along with
Hmm.
that any of these people would help answer any questions that you have, or maybe you're interested in getting started and want to know what it would take to be able to run the simulator on a computer, what kind of wheel and pedal setup that you
Yep.
want. I know I'm always questioning Chris. When we were racing that last league, even I was questioning Chris, like, what should I do for pedals? Because it's very important to me, to have
Yeah.
throttle control and stuff like that. And he was a big help for me there and gave me advice on what to do and what to set up with. But I think that it's just a really cool opportunity to experience stuff outside of just your typical run of the mill first person shooter thing that we've
Hmm.
been talking about for 10 plus years in MPN. So go out there, support Carlos in his streams. We got John Timms as well, a teammate of Carlos that streams on Twitch a lot. I'll throw your stream link in the description down below. And if you guys enjoyed this episode, don't forget to leave without leaving a like, because everyone matters. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and comment what you thought of today's episode. Are you gonna check out iRacing? Are you gonna check out everything that we're doing here in MPN Esports? Because we would love to see your name out there representing us, on broadcasts and everything else that these guys are a part of, and representing MPN Esports, and they help bring it all together, and they make it all worth it, and have been an incredible contribution to our organization. And Carlos has been from day one, man. You've been a day one guy since we started this.
Yeah.
You've been here, so definitely appreciate that. Appreciate you coming on the episode, man, and looking forward to seeing what you guys can achieve in the future. With all of that said, yeah, that concludes episode 7. Already done, man. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too, rocking the MPN baseball jersey there. I see
Yeah,
you got. That's
I
one of
love
my
it.
favorites, man. That design is sick. And I can tell you, for anybody that stuck around long enough throughout this episode, if you stuck out the whole episode, stay tuned. We got some cool stuff coming, man. I'll just leave that hint right there. See what I mean? We got some really cool stuff coming, so you better watch the whole episode or you're gonna miss out. All right, man. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.